Happy October, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
Don't laugh at me.
I can't.
This was your idea.
It was.
Okay, I know you must be shocked to see us today. It's Friday. We don't usually post on Fridays.
Don't look at me.
Well, we decided that for October, we will be doing an entire extra half episode every single week to give you some of the freakiest, most terrifying, and bone sweat inducing stories leading to Halloween.
Yes, and if you are not watching, Macy is the Hat Man.
All right, how do you do?
And I am Benadryl. I cannot look at you right now.
When I first put this on, I opened the door very slightly and stared at her until she looked at me.
And it was very frightening. I'm not going to lie. It's actually kind of jarring to see you over there.
Well, it might be more jarring to hear terrifying stories come out of my mouth. Well, my lack of mouth.
Yeah.
Speaking of a lack of mouth, our tea today is Bigelow salted caramel. As I obviously cannot drink it, Natalie will be.
Yes, but I've poured you a mug anyway.
The cup is still here.
So, shout out to our mom for this mug, and let's go!
Our first story today comes from Anonymous.
Ooh.
Really
I
unsigned.
really can't look at you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm locking in. It's
right,
Anonymous.
lock in.
Tell us the story.
By the way, I didn't tell you the theme. The theme today is just like most terrifying stories.
All right.
This isn't invoking fear in
No.
you.
Every time you talk, it like, don't look at me.
Sorry.
Like,
Okay. You can't even see my eyes.
But then you look away and you have like a little tiny nub for your nose and like your chin pokes out, and that's the only features you have.
Hey guys, I've been watching your podcast for a few months now. I thought there was nothing I could contribute until I watched your sleep paralysis video and realized I've had quite a few occurrences that y'all might like to know about. Now, I've always been more of a skeptic, but supernatural or not, this occurrence was freaky. Scariest thing I've experienced to this day. I was in bed asleep when I woke up. I knew I was dreaming. I've had about a handful of lucid dreams before, so I wasn't too freaked out. So I laid back down and went back to sleep. Then woke up again. I was not really awake. I laid back down and went back to sleep. I woke up again, but you guessed it, I was not really awake. This happened at least a couple of dozen times, more times than I could count, and felt like it lasted for hours. I was stuck in this in-between state, like my mind was disconnected from my body in a way that wouldn't let me fully wake up. The last time I woke up, I decided to look down at my bed for whatever reason. There were about 10 or so disembodied hands reaching out of my mattress, grabbing at me. Terrified, I tried to call out for my mom in the other room, but all I could get out was a gasp. That's when I heard a deep male voice coming from my closet, saying, "She can't hear you."
Oh my god.
But I can.
Oh no. I'm laughing at your little mouth moving and that just scared me.
It sounded like he was smiling. Then everything went black and I woke up. The only way I can possibly explain whatever this was is that at the time I was being weaned off a high-ish dose of an antipsychotic because I had been misdiagnosed as bipolar. But I had been having sleep paralysis and hypnagogic hallucinations much before that. Even being a skeptic, a tiny part of me believes something evil was holding my mind hostage that night and toying with me for fun.
I hate that. I hate that a lot.
She can't hear you, but I can.
Who are you?
Nothing good. Me.
You. Yeah. Bro.
Horrifying. Scary. That gave me chills.
Stop!
Don't laugh at me!
Stop. I'm sweating over here.
Okay. Our next story comes from Alexis. Hi, my name is Alexis, and I've been contemplating sending this story to you for a while. It's not very long, but it's probably the scariest experience I've had in terms of the supernatural. For context, I LARP, live action roleplay. We schedule weekend-long games, usually in state parks. These games are immersive role-playing games, similar to Dungeons & Dragons in real life, and often include a lot of late nights in the dark. I was at a Dreamscape event at a state park in the Tennessee mountains, close to the Appalachians. Sunday at LARP is usually the day to clean, pack, and leave. I shared a cabin with 2 other people, but it was large enough that each of us had our own room. We had all gone to bed exceptionally late, around 3 or 4 a.m. or so, and I woke up a few hours later when the sun was up, though I wasn't sure the time. The forest was unusually quiet for a Sunday morning, which I found odd. Then I heard it. The most basic description I can give is that it sounded like a weird goat, but it was much more than weird. To be specific, it sounded like a goat that had a human man's deep tone and cadence. Its voice was as if a goat was trying to sound like a man. At first, it sounded like it was just bleating as a goat, but in the more sinister human tone. Then it sounded like it was trying to mimic human speech. My body tensed and I felt in my heart it meant me harm. I laid as still and silent as I could. It would yell every few minutes or so. I felt like it wanted me to answer. Each time I did not, the sound of its yelling grew further away, as if it was going to leave. I would start to feel at ease. A few times I even started to fall back asleep, but as soon as I did, it was back. There would be no rustling in the bush to indicate it had run back, but one minute it would sound like it was off in the distance, and as soon as I drifted off or relaxed, it would be right outside our cabin again. This happened multiple times, until it finally left. I knew because the birds and other forest sounds had returned, but I made sure to get up and pack quickly in case it decided to come back. We have collectively decided not to go back to this campsite.
As you should. What? The goat man just
Yeah.
out there?
We gotta look into the goat man, because we've had some comments say, like, that's the goat man and stuff like that.
Oh, is that like a thing?
Yep, I think so. I know there's a goat man's bridge.
Let us know. I was just saying goat man because it was a goat that sounded like a man. I didn't know that was an actual cryptidy thing that people know of.
Possibly. Our next story is another unsigned, so anonymous. Number 2.
It's so much scarier when they're anonymous.
Hey Ghosties, I just wanted to start off by saying I love your podcast so much. I love watching all your videos and listening to all your episodes on long drives. I always look forward to the new videos and stories every week. This story is not mine, but my best friend's dad's. However, I feel like I need to share with the pod. I don't remember all of the details, but I'll share with you what I remember because this was and still is one of the scariest things I have ever heard. For some context, my friend's dad is a Christian pastor who travels a lot to churches all across the U.S. A few years ago, he traveled to Salem to preach around Halloween time. It was the same week as Halloween, I think. From here, I am going to tell the story from his perspective, just to make it a little easier. It was about 9 p.m. on a Saturday night. I was out preaching around town and talking to people who were interested and wanted to know more about Christianity. About an hour had passed by when a blind indigenous man came up to me. He was wearing a maroon suit with a black hat and was accompanied by 3 women on each side. He had started to argue with me about how there was no God or heaven, how I need to stop giving people false hope, that I need to turn away from Christianity, and he even started to threaten me. I don't remember exactly how he said the confrontation ended, so I'll just move on. Later that night, when I was in my second-story hotel room, I think it was about midnight, I felt this sinking feeling in my gut and had this strange urge to look out the window. I went over to the window, and when I looked out to the street below, I saw the same indigenous man just staring right at my room, still in the same suit with the same 6 women. As soon as I looked out my window, I knew that he had seen me. He was just staring, and slowly, a smile formed on his face. I don't know if he somehow knew that it was my room, or if it was just some sick coincidence. But either way, he saw me. I froze and was paralyzed with fear. I quickly shut the curtains, made sure the door and all the windows were locked, said a few prayers, and went to bed. The next morning, I got up and got ready to go preach at a church that had asked me to come give a sermon. Everything went well, and nothing seemed wrong. However, I couldn't get that blind indigenous man out of my head. After the sermon, many people came up to me and just talked. However, this one girl stood out. She came up and talked to me, saying how she was a former witch. As she was talking to me, she seemed frantic and scared. She kept asking me if I was okay, if I was hurt, or if anything was wrong. I found it a little odd, but I just smiled and assured her everything was okay. I asked her why she was asking me all of these questions, only for her to respond, quote, I had a dream last night that Satan had come to harm you, disguised as a blind indigenous man wearing a red suit with 3 women on each arm. That's all I remember of the story, but I hope you enjoyed it and hope you to hear it on the pod. Again, I absolutely love your podcast. Keep up the good work.
No. What?
See, how could you think that was a coincidence? That's so scary.
What do you even do?
So freaky.
I would have to convince myself that the whole town was in on it and they pranked me. They're trying to just make me leave.
Oh no.
Because
I mean, that's a dedicated prank to stand out his window. Like at 2 a.m. or whatever it was.
If it's not a prank, I would have to go into hiding. I don't know how you hide from something like that. I would be hidden away forever.
Can you think you can hide from the supernatural like that? Especially something like a dark force.
I don't know, but I'm going to say yes for my peace of mind. Because if the answer is no, I don't want to know. Nope, I will never feel safe.
That's really scary though. Even without the final bit pushed it over the edge for me, but even without that, just knowing that he was still out there in the middle of the night with those same 6 women just staring up at my hotel room.
See, if that happened to me, I wouldn't think supernatural. I would think, oh, they're trying to rob me and kill me because I'm a new person in their town.
Our next story comes from Moon. Hey there, today I'm here to tell you girls one of the scariest ghost stories. I'm sorry if this turns out to be a bit long, and pardon me for some possible grammar or spelling errors. I'm Brazilian and English is not my first language. I'm currently 15, but have always been connected to the other side or spiritual world, depending on what you call it. I have been able to see shadow figures and shadow people since I was a toddler. In fact, most of my few memories from that time are just about seeing stuff like that. And I have to say, I am almost used to it by now. But there is one experience that still sends chills down my spine. So I decided to share with you, because why not? The story I'm going to tell is one of the first spirits I have ever seen. It was not the first shadow figure or person I have seen out of the corner of my eye, but the first one I saw that looked physical, real. I was about 7 years old and had been living in that apartment building with my mom, dad, and baby sis for a while. It had a huge common area with a pool, playground, gym, and a toy room. Something always felt odd about that place. Even my mom agrees. I was friends with one girl that lived there too, and we would often go play on the playground together. But we were both scared of the toy room for some reason. We would never go there by ourselves, and when we did go there together, we would turn on every single one of the lights. The place just had a weird and frightening energy, and I really didn't like it there. One day, this friend of mine was traveling with her family, and I was bored being alone. So, little 7-year-old me decided it was time to break away from that non-reasonable fear of mine and go play alone in the toy room. What could go wrong? See a shadow or two in the corner of my eye? I was used to it. Little did I know that day would give me this story that sends a wave of fear through my body even today. I went into the toy room, turned on all the lights, and closed the bathroom door, since that bathroom scared me even more. I was playing alone in front of the large window the room had that led to the common area of the building. I was trying to act like a guy I'd seen on YouTube at the time, making a drawing on the floor by using pieces of toys, but I started to feel like I was being watched, and started to get scared really quickly. I glanced at the bathroom. The door was still closed. So, what was it? The moment I looked up to the big window in front of me, I felt my body freezing with fear, my eyes watering in waves of goosebumps. There, through the window, I saw a black mass starting to walk across the common area. It was about the size of a normal adult and looked very physical and real, not like something I would see with my mind's eye. It was there. And as if it could sense my fear, it stopped walking halfway along its path and turned to face me. It didn't have a face, only 2 glowing red eyes. We stared at each other for a couple of seconds. The thing looked like it was penetrating my soul and looking through me, and I was completely paralyzed with fear, silent tears running down my cheeks and face. After some seconds, it walked away, disappearing from my field of vision where the window ended. But with every step of the thing, it never stopped staring at me. As soon as I couldn't see it anymore, I felt like a lightning bolt had struck me, filling me with adrenaline. I ran out of the toy room, turning the corner to look exactly at where the black mass was. Not even 5 seconds before. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, with that feeling of adrenaline and fear, I rushed back to my apartment, leaving the toy room with the lights on and not even daring to enter there again. I stormed into the apartment telling my mom the story. And from that day on, I avoided the toy room and looking through its windows for the rest of the years we lived in that apartment building before my parents divorced and we moved out. I was scared and certain that if I looked inside that place through the window, I would see that black mass staring at me with those glowing red eyes again. And last year, my classmates and I were having a chat about scary ghost stories, and one friend of mine, who had absolutely no clue about this story, said that when she was about 7 years old, she saw the same black mass with no face but glowing red eyes staring at her from her apartment window. My mom still gets scared whenever I mention this story, and I am getting the same feeling of being watched just as I type this. I looked around though, and there's no sign of the thing. Anyways, if you made it to this point, I just wanted to say thank you and that I absolutely love this podcast. I discovered it a few months ago and love hearing it while drawing and painting, or just doing random chores. And maybe I'll end up sending some of my other ghost stories soon. I have quite a lot of them. Love you girls. Hugs from Brazil.
Thank you. The black mass with the red eyes. We should have gotten you some red glowing eyes.
I know. We debated on cutting slits in my eyes because I can't really see. But it wouldn't have been red, so.
It would have been cool if we would have gotten red glasses. Because before you said the red eyes, I was like, it's you.
Yeah.
But very strange that they're the same age seeing this
the same thing.
What is
through
that?
A window too, both.
What does that mean? Very interesting. And the one and only time I ever saw a black shadowy mass was when I was around that age.
I was about to say, were you 7?
I was like 7 or 8.
That's weird.
Very weird.
Very weird. Comment down below if you were 7 years old and saw a black mass.
Yeah, because
is this a thing?
It didn't have eyes for me, but it was a black shadowy.
Did you look long enough to see if it had
Well,
eyes?
no. So that is a good point.
All right. Our next story comes from Adele. Hi, ladies. I'm back again to tell you my scariest experience with what I can't even name. I thought for many years it may have been a demon, but now, after listening to you, I think it might have been a word we avoid. I used to work in childcare as an assistant. At closing time, after all the children were gone, 2 staff would move through the center ensuring everything was tidy, making sure no one was there, switching off lights, and locking each room, etc. We were called closers. This childcare was in Queensland, Australia, and was older, so think 4 or 5 separate wooden structures, but only one front door to get in and out of the property. We locked the front door while we took to different rooms to close up. My coworker took the babies and toddlers rooms, and I took pre-kindy and the kindy room, which was my room. After the pre-kindy room, I went to my room sink to stack the last of the dishes before closing the room. I had a very large floor-to-ceiling window that was next to the safety screen mesh door that looked into a part that had a safety gate, a loud pull gate that you can hear pop as it's lifted and pop when it's closed. Between the window and door meeting was about half a meter of wall where we had a very narrow bookcase on the inside against the wall. All the lights were on in my room, plus it was still light outside as we were coming out of summer. It was just before 6 p.m. The sink faces the back of the room, with the windows on the other side of the room to my left. So, if I turn fully to the left, I see the screen door, and to its right, the large windows. So, I was sorting the dishes, and I felt my body reacting to something. It was quiet. No noises and nothing from the gate, but I turned my head slightly to the left to the windows. As I watched, a thing, curled and hunched over, came into view from the gate side. It was extremely skinny. No muscle or fat, just skin stretched over bones, contorted over, walking on all 4s. Its skin was a dead gray-white color, and it would have stood at least 7 feet if it stood up, but on all 4s, it was roughly above hip height, judging by the comparison to the window. I'm 6 foot. Its legs were so long, but it was so hunched over, it was impossible to tell how long. It was bald, and its eyes were large and bulbous, its mouth slightly open as it moved, showing teeth. Think something that moves like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but slower and smoother.
That's exactly what I was envisioning.
Well, they have a picture too.
Oh no.
Its fingers were long, as was its toes. Everything about it was long and distorted and stretched. It crawled on its hands and feet past the window, making no noise, and I couldn't breathe as I realized it was heading to the door. But when it reached the half a meter gap between the window and door, it walked behind it, disappeared, not coming into sight through the screen door. I remember standing there, frozen for a few minutes, wondering if it was there or coming in the door, but nothing happened. I picked up my phone without looking away from the door and called the landline for the childcare, which my coworker picked up instantly. I asked if the front door was still locked. Of course it was. If anyone was in the center. Of course not. And if she could please come out to the kindy room for me. I was petrified. It was hiding in the gap waiting for me. She was there in 10 seconds, and when I saw her, I started crying, but I didn't tell her what happened. Because who would believe that? My coworker had seen and heard nothing strange, thankfully, and I got her to stay with me as I locked up and booked it out of there. Working the next day was horrible. I kept looking at the window and flinching as families walked past to get into the room. After I left that night, I refused to do the closing for months after that. And when I was shifted on and had no choice, I asked the other closer to work in the same room as me. I did eventually tell a friend who worked there about what I saw, and she said she had never seen that, but she did say others spoke of something in the center. There had been things turned on or moved in the night, singing and laughter at close, and things being knocked off walls and tables, etc. I never saw the thing again, nor did I look into it. I'm just so happy it didn't see me or follow me after, because if I saw it again, I would vomit everywhere and die of fear. I apologize in advance to Natalie, but I have attached an AI picture as close as I could get to the creature. It didn't look exactly like this. It had longer limbs and was more curled up into itself, but it's very close. Much love, Adele.
Show it to me. Okay. Macy could not use her hands. This is disgusting.
Imagine seeing that at night, closing up at your job.
What did Adele say? They would throw up and die of fright?
Yes. Same.
That's how I'm feeling right now.
Ugh, imagining it silently creeping. I'm like sick.
But they said it was like taller.
Yeah, it was like hip height
to a
waist height to
person.
a 6 foot person. Yeah. It would have been like over 7 feet tall if it stood up.
This is unsettling. I like to be scared, but adding images to describe the things that people are seeing, I don't know how I feel.
I like it.
I kind of like it, but like it's kind of like, oh my god.
It adds a level of terror.
I think it makes it worse.
But that's perfect. It's October. Embrace it.
I guess.
Coming from the Hat Man.
I was about to say, you're over there just Hat-manned up. I'm just Benadryl. I have no defense.
Go to sleep.
I'm just pink.
Our last story today comes from Anastasia. Hi again, it's Anastasia. I hope you guys have received my other emails because every time I try to send an email, something always happens and either the email disappears or it refreshes itself and it's blank. I don't know if it's the spirits I talk about not wanting me to talk about it or if I'm just bad at sending emails. LOL.
No, dude. No, we've had multiple people say that this happens to them.
I know.
And how many times have we had technical difficulties? Just the most random ones.
I used to work on a computer all the time at my old job.
No
and
issue.
I hardly had any issues.
No issue. And you think it's me. I have never had issues. I don't have issues at my work computer currently.
You don't inspire confidence in me when I ask, like, what's wrong? You're like, I don't know. So I'm like, what could even it be?
I'll literally just be doing the exact same thing that I do every time. And then some random times it's like, there's no audio. Why?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
It not only makes me mad, it kind of scares me.
Anyways, as mentioned in a previous email, which I don't think we've gotten to Anastasia's emails yet, my mom's stories vastly outshine my own, and she has given me permission to talk about it. I'll start off strong with the scariest one, which also happens to be her first ever encounter. My mom was 8 years old and at a sleepover at a friend's house when she woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. The bedroom door had been left open, giving her a perfect view of the hallway, and that's when she noticed that the chair that the family kept in the hallway looked like it had clothes on it. Only when she looked at it more, she realized that it wasn't clothes, but a gray, hunched-over figure that she describes looking similar to a gargoyle. She has once said that the closest thing she's found that looks similar to it is that one painting of a succubus over a sleeping woman. Anyways, the moment she noticed it, it looked at her and told her, "I'll see you when you croak." My mom was scared beyond belief about this, and still to this day gets freaked out when talking about it. The scariest detail, in my opinion, is the fact that since she was so young, She didn't know that croak was another word for dead. So she spent years thinking that if she made a frog sound, she would see it again. I was young when she told me this story, and it scares me so bad that I still to this day get so paranoid that I'll also see it. I will sometimes even freak myself out in the middle of the night, imagining it in my room, and will refuse to look anywhere and hide under the covers until I fall asleep just to avoid potentially seeing it.
That is horrible.
An interesting update though. Recently, I became obsessed with this story and wanted to find out more about it to see if we could find out what it was. When I asked her about the house, she mentioned that bad people lived there. I won't go into any details about the men who lived in that house due to her privacy, but let's just say that they're the reason my mom has had a lifelong distrust of older men. Because I've been listening to y'all's podcasts, I remember hearing listener stories and you two talk about how the energies of people can manifest or draw out certain entities. This made me think that the gargoyle wasn't attached to my mom, but is attached to that house, and either was drawn to the evil that had taken place in the house, or it was a manifestation of it. Due to her being sensitive to the paranormal, when it realized that she could see it, it wanted to scare her, and hopefully didn't actually mean what it said. This theory has finally given my mom some peace of mind after this has haunted her for 4 decades. Though if anyone else has an idea of what it could have been, or theories, I would be interested in knowing. Also, if y'all could send a prayer to whatever religion you follow for my mom's protection so that she will never have to see this thing again, it would really mean a lot to both me and her. Now, I know that this is getting long, so feel free to use these other stories at a different time, but here are her 2 Ouija board stories.
Everyone stop right now. Whatever you practice, whatever you believe in.
Send protection for Anastasia's mom.
Because the fact that she did not know what that
word
meant. That is so terrifying. You know, I'm not afraid of dying. That would make me afraid of dying. Because
I know.
What do you mean?
I know.
You'll see me?
I hope that Anastasia's theory that it was just a manifestation of the evil things and the evil like negativity that came about in that house.
Has to be.
And it was just feeding off of their mom's fear.
It absolutely has to be. Because
that's horrific, whatever it is.
If not, I can't take it.
Okay. Anyway, prayers sent by everybody.
Of any kind.
Yes. The first one happened at one of her friends' houses, where my mom and 3 other girls were there alone and decided to play with a Ouija board. They unknowingly broke one of the rules and asked the ghost that they were talking to prove that it was real by opening the friend's parents' unlocked bedroom door. The parents always left their bedroom locked up anytime they weren't home because the dad had guns and he didn't want their kids to get into it. When they asked it to do that, they heard heavy footsteps run towards the door and the bedroom door slammed open. They got freaked out and said goodbye immediately after that. The next time she played with one was when she was in college. They were at first asking some questions about the ghost itself and how it died, and while they were doing this, an exchange student passed by the room and stopped. She was new, but they had a few classes with her and invited her to join them. She did, and to test if it was real, she asked the board the name of her boyfriend. It correctly spelled out her boyfriend's name. Nobody there knew the girl well enough to know this information, and she seemed genuinely freaked out about it. My mom then stupidly asked, "When will she die?" The board then said, 25. I don't have to tell you that she's well over the age of 25, but it really freaked her out until she turned 26. So yeah, this is it for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I just want to let y'all know how much I enjoy listening to the podcast while at my overnight job, even if it makes me paranoid. Lots of love, Anastasia.
If I saw 25, okay, I made it past 25. Woohoo! You know what would come up in my mind? He meant 25 years. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I could never relax.
You just live with the number 25 in your mind at all times?
Absolutely. And I don't like that we're even talking about it. I'm scared. You know
what?
I
hope your mom can find some peace because this has been terrifying.
You know what? We started this episode. You can watch it back. I was cracking up, crying, trying not to laugh the whole time you were talking. We're ending it. I am sick.
Yeah, told you, most terrifying. What a way to start out our October. Yesterday's episode was really freaky. Today's episode, a next level terror. Yep. And we've got more. We've got lots and lots of really, really scary stories to go along with our funky little outfits here.
Now that I'm looking at you again, it's funny.
So we hope you enjoyed today's little half episode. It's not a very long one, but I think it's full enough of scares to be worth it.
I think so. And if you're not scared of the stories, click on the YouTube video and look at this person right next to me.
You can be scared of me.
This is horrifying to look at. We have a mirror behind where we record. I've been looking at it the whole time, and I'm also very frightened of you right now.
Honestly, I can't see, so it's okay. For me, anyway.
All right, well.
So like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe for more. We've got, like I said, lots of other costumes. Take some guesses in the comments of what you think we'll dress up as going forward.
No, because they're going to say some good ones, and I'm going to be like, dang it!
Hey, we'll just add them to our list for next year.
But we do have some good ones, I think.
We do.
I like this one.
I'm really excited. Yeah, this one was really exciting, yeah, for me.
I'm ready to see it, what it looks like on the video. But
all right, well, happy October.
And we'll see you on Patreon, if you'd like to, patreon.com/ghosties, and on Monday. Goodbye.
Or possibly in your dreams.